I prefer the sparkly effect you get from natural sunlight because it just hits those reflective from all sides and just bounces it around, as opposed to when I use studio flash and it's just one direction. So hopefully we get some sparkles. Ooh.
Oh, that's a cool background.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to put some stuff on you and your face. Audio Jungle. Audio I am Katrina Emanuel. I'm a photographer based on the Gold Coast. My speciality is fashion, beauty and portraiture. Audio Jungle. I grew up in the Caribbean island of Trinidad and Tobago. I then met, after I finished uni, I met who is now my husband, and at that time he wanted to migrate to Australia.
Yeah.
So he had applied a few years before we met and he got accepted. So then I had that decision of, do I stay in the Caribbean and pursue what I thought at that time was my career path, like in international relations or diplomacy, or follow him to Australia. So I always tell people I came to Australia for love, so I followed him, and then we made our life here in Australia in 2004. So when I was little, I was always very artistically inclined. I always remember sitting down on the floor with my grandmother, and my grandmother kind of attributes or credits herself as what inspired me or got me into drawing, especially in coloring. She used to spend time coloring with me and drawing, and from there I was always interested in illustration, like fashion illustration. When I got into teen years, you get more interested in those areas. And I remember when I was 9 years old, my mom put me into like private art classes. Like I used to go on a weekend and have an art teacher and learn acrylics and oils, because she saw that I had that interest and that natural talent towards painting, outside of school as well. And yeah, for me, the best part of photography is the connection, or the connections I can make with people. But I often tell people photography is sort of like my form of spirituality, in that photography has sort of trained my eye to see things at a deeper level, to widen my perception on how things are. And it's sort of like the lens in which I see life through. Not to say I walk around with a camera taking pictures. Yeah, it's sort of like the lens in which I see life through. Not to say I walk around with a camera taking pictures of everything, but it's just almost like my eye has become that camera, and I sort of look at photography as like my magnifying glass. I like to look deeper and closer at people. It probably explains why I do a lot of macro photography with my beauty work. So I just like to hone in and go closer and closer. So I kind of describe it as my religion in a way. Audio Jungle. For me, photography, it is quite therapeutic. You sort of, for me personally, I lose myself when you're in that moment, trying to capture a moment. So it does put me in that sort of zone, sort of like that meditative zone, or as people sometimes describe, you get into the flow. So in that way, it does sort of calm you. But then there are situations where it is high stress. You would, even when you're filming and that sort of thing, there are situations where things go wrong and you do have to deal with it and solve those problems as they happen. So it can sometimes. What would I tell my younger self if I could go back in time? Looking back at my journey, I think it would be to, at some point in my time, in my younger years, overcome my self-limiting beliefs it's something I'm working on now, but I wish I didn't really have those limiting beliefs in my younger days. It's almost like, well, you can't do this, you don't have the money or the finances, or you're not good enough, or you don't have the skills. I just wish I was able when I was younger, to shut those voices up and believe in myself a bit more, and just go out and not be afraid to fail, just try. So yeah, I wish I was able to go back in time and tell my younger self that.